In the high plateaus and steppes of Inner Asia, money had to survive before it could pay. A coin could be too scarce, too heavy, or too useless for routes crossing mountains and grasslands. Value therefore took a form that could move, feed, and still be recognized. Tea leaves harvested in distant valleys, steamed and compressed into dense rectangular bricks. These bricks traveled as goods, but they also settled obligations. The system worked because tea was useful, portable, and familiar. Yet every brick carried a condition. It held value only while it remained intact, recognizable, and trusted by the next recipient. Before coins, before banks, belief ruled the world. By the 9th century, compressed tea had become important along the frontier between imperial China and the nomadic peoples to the north and west. Production centered in Sichuan's humid foothills, especially around Ya'an. There, tea was processed into bricks in grades shaped by leaf quality and density. Some bricks were scored so smaller portions could be broken off for minor transactions. Compression turned a fragile crop into a durable store of value. Caravans could carry far more value in bricks than in loose leaves. But compression solved only movement. It did not solve recognition. A brick's value depended on more than its shape. Traders had to know its grade, condition, origin, and tightness of pressing. A damaged or inferior brick could still look acceptable after months on the road. The object could travel by itself. The knowledge needed to evaluate it had to travel with it. Without that knowledge, portability became uncertainty. The mechanism was simple but demanding. Tea leaves were steamed, pressed under heavy weight, dried, and hardened for transport. Once cured, a brick could survive pack animals, mountain paths, and storage better than loose tea. In Tibet, Mongolia, and Siberia, these bricks passed from hand to hand without requiring a mint or ruler's guarantee. A herder could exchange one for salt or grain. A caravan leader could pay porters in portions, broken from a larger block. A household could keep bricks for later use. The brick possessed a legitimacy that metal did not always have. It could be consumed. Pieces could be boiled into tea or broth when conditions became difficult. The object storing value could also sustain life. This made tea credible. Value was not abstract. It remained bound to a material people could use. Yet utility introduced its own weakness. A coin could sit untouched for decades. Tea could not. Moisture could damage it. Mold could reduce its worth. Breakage could make portions harder to judge. Consumption reduced stored wealth. The object carrying value moved toward disappearance. The system depended not only on exchange, but on preservation. To hold value was also to defend it from time. This shaped economic life on the Tibetan plateau. Workers and servants could be paid in bricks or bundles. Larger purchases, including horses, required many more. But payment did not end the calculation. The recipient had to guard the brick, carry it, divide it carefully, and later persuade someone else to accept it. Wages did not rest once received. They continued to demand care. The burden sharpened when quality entered the exchange. A lower-grade brick and a higher-grade brick could become harder to distinguish after age and travel. Experienced traders judged weight, aroma, color, and compression. But expertise was uneven. Not every buyer could verify what he was receiving. The exchange therefore depended on shared recognition. Without recognition, agreement weakened, even if the brick remained in the hand. For centuries this system worked remarkably well, but only while its geography stayed legible. Tea-producing regions, pastoral suppliers, caravan routes, and frontier demand had to remain connected. China sought horses, wool, and hides. Highland communities wanted a divisible, useful, and portable medium suited to mobile life. Tea bricks linked these needs without central minting. Their authority came from repeated acceptance, not from one ruler. But repeated acceptance required repetition itself. The same routes had to continue. The same grades had to be recognized. Demand had to remain strong beyond tea-growing regions. If one link weakened, the brick still existed, but its circulation became less certain. Practical need could create monetary behavior. It could not guarantee stable coordination. When conditions weakened, strain appeared. Poor harvests reduced supply. Conflict disrupted routes. Banditry increased risk. Because tea was both commodity and currency, consumption affected circulation. Wealth could literally be eaten. A family holding bricks for future exchange faced a quiet dilemma. Hold too long and deterioration became possible. Spend too quickly and future security diminished. Value remained useful but exposed. At larger scales, limits became more visible. Quality varied between production seasons. Preferences differed. Distant traders could dispute equivalencies between tea, silver, grain, or livestock. Tea bricks worked best where tea was scarce, desired, and widely recognized. That condition gave them value, but also limited their reach. The farther the brick traveled, the more its value depended on people far from its origin. Verification became harder as distance increased. Coordination became harder as scale increased. For the individual herder, porter, or servant, this was not abstract. Payment existed as weight on the back or in the saddlebag. It had to be protected from damp air, rough handling, and doubtful buyers. The exchange did not free him. It bound him to the next place where the brick would be judged again. Until then, his wage remained unfinished. Tea bricks therefore revealed both the strength and boundary of commodity-based exchange. They showed that value could be compressed, transported, divided, consumed, and recognized without metal. But they also showed why such a system could not remain sufficient forever. It required preservation, expertise, repeated acceptance, and uninterrupted movement. Beyond those conditions, verification grew heavier than the brick itself. In the next episode, we will examine how cocoa as currency operated in Mesoamerica. Through another plant-based commodity, with practical use and monetary value, we will see how similar pressures pushed exchange towards still greater abstraction.